The following presentation is brought to you by Heart Lane Media Group.
Capturing the moments that make life great.
Ladies all around the world, listen up. We're looking for you. The time has come to be unstoppable together. The danger of executive women is worrying we're not enough, obsessed with perfection and failing to perform. You're in the right place. It's now time to be unstoppable together with Connie Fife. She was the director of the United States Chamber of Commerce and CEO of Girl Scouts USA. Sit down, squat down, or lie down. It's time for Up or Out, all business with Connie Fife. Your unstoppable diva and chair of the Fife Group, helping women in leadership achieve excellence and be unstoppable together.
Welcome to Up or Out with Connie. I am Connie Fife, your unstoppable diva, and I am just going to jump right into today's show because with us we have Harry Mills. He's a returning guest, and he is just filled with the knowledge, a wealth of knowledge. And if you're an entrepreneurial leader and you're looking for opportunities for those tools to accelerate your business and achieve excellence, today is the show that you're going to learn it from Harry Mills. But before we go there, I do need to take a really quick sponsor break because, hey, they're the ones paying all the bills. So hang in there. We'll be right back. Hi, this is Connie Fife, your unstoppable diva, host of Up or Out with Connie. I am thrilled to be a headliner host on the C-Suite Network, where you can grow your brand, grow your tribe, and be unstoppable together. We are the hottest podcast for C-level executives and entrepreneurial leaders. Each week, we interview content leaders on leadership, personal brand, business, and influence. Continue hearing me right here on the C-Suite Network, also on iHeartRadio, SiriusXM, iTunes, and over 900 networks around the globe. Follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter because you don't want to miss any of the good stuff. Until next time, this is Connie Fife, your unstoppable diva. Be bold, be connected, and be unstoppable together. And we are back with internationally acclaimed author Harry Mills, who is joining us to discuss some of his strategies from his latest book, Zero Resistance: The Science and Secrets of Supercharging Your Sales by Eliminating Buyer Skepticism. But Harry, I want to jump into a conversation that we were having early on about the power of we and how you're building that empathy bridge. I want to talk more about that because we really had a good conversation, and I want our listeners to hear this as well.
Well, if you think about it, Connie, the first thing you have to do with anybody is actually build some form of trusted relationship. And the best way to understand a relationship is to think about yourself with somebody at the moment that you're very close to. Okay. And just think of three circles, right? A circle on the left, which you call me. On the circle on the right, I will call you.
Okay.
And let's imagine the two circles coming together.
Okay.
And the overlap forms we.
Okay.
Right? So I just want you to think about the closest person that you know and whether the overlap is strong. And normally what that we relationship is one of deep trust. And if you've got deep trust, you can potentially sell anything of value to actually do. So the first step, the most powerful step you can do with anybody is to form a we relationship or build an empathy bridge.
Okay.
And the person who has done it most remarkably is Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela actually used to practice it on Robben Island. He came to the conclusion that the only way he would transform South Africa, being a prisoner, was to convince Afrikaners that they would have to get rid of apartheid themselves.
Right.
And he knew he would have a couple of opportunities to meet various people from the Afrikaner Defence Force and the intelligence force, and he practiced on them and he developed a set of skills for building a we or an empathy bridge.
Now, did he know or realize what he was doing at the time, or was this just part of his ability to bring people together? I mean, was this an intentional, bringing of the we, the power of the we together?
Well, I think basically, if you read lots of biographies about Mandela, and I'm a little bit obsessed,
and I have,
he certainly went on to Robben Island convinced that he would have to engage in an arms insurrection. So, in loose terms, we would call him a terrorist, right?
True,
but
right.
He actually came to the conclusion that, in actual fact, the only way that he was going to achieve his vision, which was to become a leader of a multiracial society,
right,
and he did see himself as the head, he had to convince the Afrikaners of a we society.
Okay.
And so basically, he got the opportunity as a prisoner to try out all sorts of little tricks, if you like. And he realised, first of all, that on an island where you're a prisoner, the most powerful people are not the bureaucrats in Pretoria or in Washington. The most powerful people in a prison are your guards.
That's right.
So he practiced all of his techniques on his armed guard. And he worked out a routine, and I call it, 4 plays for building an empathy bridge, right? So the first thing he learned was that you actually have to pay whoever the person you want to convince deep, deep respect, right? So the loveliest story I know is that when his white lawyer came to Robben Island, Mandela was marched out to the visitor's cell with an armed guard of 8 people. 2 on each side, 2 at the back, 2 both sides of them. And the guards were amazed that he actually physically embraced, white and black embraced each other physically for a start. And then he turned around and looked at the guards, looked at George Bezos, the lawyer, and said, "George, my apologies. I should have introduced you to my honor guard."
To his guards, that's right.
And then he actually introduced each one of the 8 guards by their first names. And he realised that if he treated them as an honour guard, they treated him back as an honour guard, and they treated him in the end as the king of Robben Island.
And that's where
that was his first step.
Yeah.
The second thing is commonality is what makes we. So basically, what was the thing that he could demonstrate that he had more in common and that he had an idea of a common future for South Africa than to learn Afrikaans, to learn the language of the oppressor.
Right.
Now, most of his fellow prisoners were opposed to this, but whenever Mandela spoke to any white leader in Afrikaans, they were blown away. Now, not only were they blown away that he'd made the effort to learn the language, but suddenly it changed their view of what Mandela or blacks wanted for their South Africa. Because why would anybody invest in learning a language if they were thinking of booting them back to Europe?
Right.
So they didn't have to say anything. That was the second thing. The third thing is he just spoke about what they had in common in a shared future. So he talked about the fact that both white Afrikaans and black Africans were both Africans, that they shared a common future. And people were actually blown away from it, the fact that, so here he had this notion of, deep respect, common language in the sort of thing, and then basically a common future. And I call it, when you actually look at that, that's the power of we. It's got the elements of what people can do and actually think. And he used exactly the same technique.
So let me jump in there a minute, because you talk about the empathy bridge and how to increase sales. So let's take it into where people could use this tool to create sales. So now again, we're always selling. Nelson Mandela was selling, and just like you said, he showed his oppressors respect, his guards respect. So how can someone, an entrepreneur who are looking to increase sales, use that same strategy in their business?
Well, I think what it means is the first initial point of contact you have with anybody, you actually turn into an emotional ritual. You treat someone with enormous respect, not just shake hands and everything else. If you sit them down for a cup of tea or for a cup of coffee, you go all through the deep rituals of pouring the cup of tea for them. You actually ask them whether what's shocking. You pay them enormous respect.
Right.
You pay them incredible respect in the way that you actually do it. You possibly, after that meeting, you go back to them and say that you learnt a lot to them. It was great meeting them, not just a sort of casual thing, comment, a flick away email, which says, oh, nice to meet you. You talk about, I love talking to you about so-and-so. I really picked up a great idea from your business. It wasn't me selling to you. I picked up an idea from you. So you start to share the we, because what you're trying to do is build. I mean, if you're an accountant, for example, there's the essence, and a small business accountant, you actually have got a we relationship with your client. It's called a fictive family. A fictive family is an imaginary family. We're an imaginary business which serves your family. We think about you like your family.
Yes.
When I go to the doctor and I ask for his recommendations for my mother, right, I don't say to the surgeon, what would you recommend your mother? I'm concerned when she's 80 that she's actually going to have to undergo an unnecessary operation.
That's right.
So how do I get him to think about my mother as his family? I say, doctor, what would you recommend for Nancy if she was your mother?
Very good. Very powerful. So, Harry, I do have to take a break right there because we do need to take another sponsor break. So hang in there. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Greg Davis. Connie asked me to pop in for a moment to tell you about a great opportunity. Have you ever listened to a podcast and thought, I should be doing that, but I don't know how, I don't know where to start? Well, Up or Out with Connie Fife has partnered with Park Lane Media Group to offer you PMR podcast production. What is PMR? Production, marketing, response. The three key elements you need to successfully build your podcast success. For more information, visit parklanemediagroup.com or email podcast@parklanemediagroup.com and be sure to let them know that Connie sent you. You have a story to tell. We'll help you share it. Come to parklanemediagroup.com today and start building your podcast success.
And we're back, and you're listening to Connie Fife, and this is Up or Out with Connie. And we are talking with Harry Mills about the power of we. So, Harry, let me ask you this question. What is the importance of generating that aha or having that insight during a sales conversation? How is that helping that power of we and bringing the you and the I together to make that sale?
Well, they are the two things, right? They're two sides to it. What the power of we does is that builds the deep abiding trust. The aha is the insight. The aha is the thing which makes them receptive to the idea. They're not pushing back. They're actually receptive to the thing. So if you have an idea which actually says to someone, well, what if you were to do this?
Right.
The receptivity is enormous. But if they in any way believe that your motives are you're trying to push something, you're trying to sell things, they're not receptive to the insight. So basically the two sides are eliminate the resistance.
Yes.
And then use your insights to communicate the value. So the two go hand in hand and they're simultaneous. So the power of we is something that starts up right at the beginning, but you're continuously building on that as the relationship builds onto you. So the next time you meet someone, a customer for the second time, for example, you use a word which allows you to have a we conversation. You say, what's exciting you at the moment, Connie, right?
Okay.
So that's something like, what's exciting you? What's excited you most since we last thing? So I can actually feed off the thing that's actually motivate there and bond with them and understand what's exciting them. And if they're excited.
So is that what you're meaning when, especially in your book, Zero Resistance? It's, supercharging your sales, eliminating buyer skepticism or any mistrust that they may have. And I know that was a new book that you are working on. So is that out now? Is that available for people to purchase?
People can get that off at Amazon. There's a bit of an issue with my publisher's got a Kindle issue in the thing, but you can certainly purchase it, no problem.
Okay. So we can pick that up on Amazon.com, and it's called Zero Resistance: The Science and Secrets of Supercharging Your Sales and Eliminating Buyer Skepticism and Mistrust. Because I think mistrust is one of the big issues. And again, you've talked about going to your doctor or going to your accountant. I mean, there needs to be a very strong trust there because they know your innermost secrets. So, you need to make sure that you're building that trust. And that goes to anyone that is building a business, and whether you're an entrepreneur or sitting in the C-suite, whenever you have a customer, they want to trust you first. So it makes it difficult sometimes when there's so much on social media. And in a lot of ways, you're not even meeting your customer for the first time. They're meeting you first on social media. So Harry, are your tools, do they still wrap around social media and how to meet and connect with your people there on social media?
Well, I think with social media, the temptation is because it's the world of tweets, right? In a way, when we've seen a lot of tweets coming all the way from the White House, right? Right. So what we've seen with Donald, for example, is classic direct persuasion, boom, 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 right?
Right.
Like an AK-47 sort of rattling out.
That's a good way to put it.
Right? Now, that is highly dangerous for a business people, because although you might hit the mark, so to speak, with your tweet, you're just as likely to offend somebody and put off customers as well, right?
Right.
And not many of us in business can afford to have the sort of 50% failure rate that politicians have, right?
No, we don't.
Our game is we need to be able to keep the people we've got, and we need to attract new people. And so basically what we're doing is, if we use questions which help people find their own reasons. So we need to get much cleverer in social media, basically about using questions. In my book, there's a whole series of, what's the power of, instead of you send out even an email with a statement in the top, and you just shift to a why question. Because if you think to a why question, or why, or would have, or how might we, those actually open up the possibilities. They expand the mind of the reader. They cause them to do a little bit of imagining, and they tend to buy into it.
So going back to then the social media, because there's a lot of conversations about what's effective and what's ineffective, old school selling, versus new. So I still like the combination. Social media is really good. You get out there, people know who you are, but the old school of selling is you still need to pick up the phone and call somebody and talk to them. However, the old tell and sell persuasive tactics, as you refer to in the sales industry, they're not working anymore.
Yeah, well, the direct persuasion doesn't work, but the interesting thing, the research done by Facebook and the like says that actually self-persuasion, if you phrase the things, is about 3 to 4 times as effective, because basically when people are in their social media space, it's their space.
That's right.
And basically they treat, particularly someone like Facebook. And so what unfortunately has been happening is we've got people pitching stories into social media, and then we're attaching adverts to it as well. And we're hoping we're using too much social media as clickbait.
Yes.
And I think that the clickbait is actually it's not drowning out. It's just confusing a lot of people who are watching what works.
Right. I don't, like you said, it's not drowning, but it's confusing because there are so many of that clickbaits. So the ones that are not, so how do you get yourself in there so you stand out, that you're not one of those individuals, or you're not someone who's just posting, I'm going for lunch right now. so that's why, I tend to stay focused with LinkedIn because you don't have so much of that there, and it's really focused towards business. Where in Facebook, it's more about, that social or the clickbaits, or a lot of that is going on there as well. So, it gets really questionable. I mean, how do you use it, and where do you go, and what do you believe?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of simple answers. I mean, first of all, less is more. I mean, I think what's actually happened is the reaction to being drowned in this fire hose of information on the web is we think we need to fight back with our fire hose, right? I've got a bigger fire engine than you, Connie.
That's right. Wait a minute.
Right. But mine's got more lattice.
My fire hose. Yeah, I'm going to use mine.
So basically, it's actually quite challenging to be disciplined and to say less is more. So in marketing and in customers, you've got to know your own customer base better and others.
Yes.
But particularly if you're in the business-to-business space, then basically you can use a platform like LinkedIn, for example.
Right.
But the thing is to be very disciplined. You really need to think about that you're not going to go out in the business-to-business and you go and try for. So people have fallen into the trap too, that simply if they put very good content into something like that will be enough. In other words, and there's a lot of people out there marketing, more and better expert content. But in the end of the day, if you're going,
but it's not enough. I mean, it's still not enough. No.
And basically what you've got to do is you've actually got to find the person you want to talk. I mean,
right.
When I got the endorsements for my couple of books recently, what I actually found was, highly personalised messages to people who never knew.
Okay.
With the opening thing, can you help me?
Okay.
Or can you give me advice? Right. And then I put a very gentle request and the sort of thing, and that started up a conversation. Because if you think, LinkedIn classically, everybody's got InMail, for example, or they've got 25 messages. But my research shows that quite a high percentage of those never get touched or opened to anything else.
Right.
So I think the art is really you've got to, and it's harder for when you're in a mass market or retail market. Yeah. But essentially what you've got to be is a lot more disciplined in your message.
Very disciplined, right? Very, very niched to who you're speaking to. I know for me, when I'm writing any of my content, I have 3 different avatars. And that's who I'm writing my information for, is for, those avatars. So again, it's very specific. It's very narrow focus. So it's not so broad, because when it's broad, you're just not going to hit anything. And that's when it's like you're just dumping out there, like you're just like regurgitating everything that you have. And that just doesn't work. So thank you for sharing that, Harry. We're coming to the end of our show. So this is fantastic. You've provided, again, a wealth of information for our listeners, especially those entrepreneurial leaders who are looking to achieve excellence and accelerate their business to the next level. So, Harry, let our listeners know how they can find you and learn more about your books and your programs.
Well, the easiest way, if they want to buy the books, go to Amazon.com. That's the easiest form of connection. The second thing, if they want to contact me, come to my website, and if they want to, we speak and deliver.
And your website is
North America, and come to my website, www.ahaadvantage.com.
Right. ahaadvantage.com. That's the quickest way to get a hold of Harry, and I'll tell you, he's really quick to get back. So if you want to know any more information on the we and how you build that, and how that's even stronger of building that empathy bridge and increasing your sales, Harry's the guy. Give him a call. That's who you're going to want to chat with. So this is Connie Fife, your Unstoppable Diva, and we have come to the end of our show. And Harry, thank you for being here. Author, speaker, trainer, all around great guy. I love that you're here on the show, and you're always welcome to come back and join us again. So if you're listening out there and you are a leader, thank you. Thank you. and help others and help them achieve their excellence and show them the way. And if there is anything else that you could be doing right now to make a difference, to make an impact, what would that be? This is Connie 5, your Unstoppable Diva. And until next time, be bold, be connected, and be unstoppable together.